video I'm going to talk about Bonesmith by Nikki Palpreto. This is a really, I really liked this book. It's not like too amazingly different than a lot of other stuff, and yet it is unique in and of its own self, and I just had a good time with it. To recap you, this was a Fairy Loot book. This was from the August crate for Fairy Loot. This was the YA book choice, and the synopsis from inside was, in the Dominions, the dead linger, violent and unpredictable, unless the Bonesmith severs the ghost from its earthly remains. For Bonesmith Run, becoming a Valkyr, a ghost-fighting warrior, is a chance to solidify her place in the noble house of Bone and impress her frequently absent father. But when sabotage causes Ren to fail her qualifying trial, she is banished to the border wall, the last line of defense against a wasteland called the Breach, where the vicious dead roam unchecked. Determined to reclaim her family's respect, Ren gets her chance when a House of Gold prince is kidnapped and taken beyond the wall. To prove she has what it takes to be a Valkyr, Ren vows to cross the breach and rescue the prince. But to do so, she's forced into an uneasy alliance with one of the kidnappers, a fierce ironsmith called Julian, from the exiled House of Iron, the very people who caused the breach in the first place, and the House of Bone's sworn enemy. As they travel, Ren and Julian spend as much time fighting each other as they do the undead, but when they discover there's more behind the kidnapping than either of them knew, they'll need to work together to combat the real danger, a dark alliance that is brewing between the living and the undead. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that covers a lot. Essentially, in the beginning of this, Ren is going through her qualifiers to become a Valkyr and get recognized. There's kind of like a class where they're all out on this final mission, and then if they pass, they'll get accepted as Valkyrs. And there's like partnerships that are made, like one does whatever part and the other does the other. It's like a summoner and a whatever. That's really terrible, but it's like one kind of like distracts the ghost while the other dispenses of them. Yeah. Anyway, so in the beginning of this, she is very quickly betrayed by her partner, who she thought she could trust, but then finds out that after she's done all of this work and actually achieved her goal so that she should be passing, instead they end up, well, the one ends up betraying her directly, but then also like her cousin is involved, and they kind of leave her in, well, first they trap her in a hole, but then she falls farther into the hole, and they just kind of leave her, which is really dangerous. They kind of left her for dead. She does manage to escape the hole, but by the time that she gets back, it's too late, and she ends up failing, and she ends up getting sent off to the wall. And that hurts a lot. So she has no support from her family. It's actually her grandmother that, like, passes the other people who cheated and took her work, credit for her work. And yeah, apparently she's not Grandma's favorite, so yeah, whatever. And her father doesn't stick up for her either, sends her on her way. There is definitely more involved in that whole story, which I cannot get into because that's spoilers for the end, but it's good. Meanwhile, she goes to the wall and she meets a woman who used to partner with, I believe it was her uncle. I don't think she was her father's partner. I think she was her uncle's partner. And her uncle died supposedly as a war hero during the breach. And that's all that she knows. There are hints that people say, well, maybe your uncle wasn't as good as what you think. Maybe he wasn't a hero, blah, blah, blah. But of course she doesn't believe any of that. She believes that her uncle was a great hero during the breach and saved a bunch of people. During her time at the wall, so not only does she meet that past partner who kind of hints at some things and whatever, but she also meets the prince, who's Leo, who's a great character. They end up becoming friends. Odile, who is the former partner of her uncle, kind of pushes her towards befriending the prince, but she does end up befriending the prince and kind of being like his buddy guard. and then suddenly they get attacked and Leo gets kidnapped. Now, technically, there's hints right in the beginning that they also wanted to capture her. Like, a lot of hints. like they keep mentioning somebody else that they were supposed to get, and it's like heavily applied to us that they mean Ren. Ren is the person that they want to capture. But they make off with Leo. Meanwhile, I don't... this is so hard. Like, I don't want to get into spoilers. Meanwhile, there was Julian, who was part of the kidnapping crew. But they try to kill Julian for reasons. And it is Ren who somehow manages to evade getting captured by them. And Leo... not Leo. Leo's kidnapped. He gone. And Julian, who ends up nearly killed by them, that get thrown together and decide to partner up. Ren believes that if she saves Leo and goes back to the kingdom and returns him, then she'll be honored and respected as a Valkyr. And I think she convinces Julian that if he goes, that they can protect him or do some of their work with him. I don't really remember how she convinced Julian, because I'm like, what really would be in it for him? I don't know. I can't remember now. But there was reasons. There was reasons why Julian would help her. Some kind of reasons. I don't know. So the two of them set out to get Leo. Meanwhile, as they're going on their journey, they do end up like discussing things with each other, and definitely how different the war and the breach was seen. For Julian, he very much sees her people and the Bonesmiths as being the cause of a lot of destruction, and her uncle killed like thousands of people. And so he's trying to reveal this stuff to her, and Ren's world is kind of getting blown. Like, she cannot believe that all of this stuff that Julian is saying is real. And there's a big part of her that's like, no, my uncle was a hero. He did things to save people. Julian's kind of like, I don't think it's that simple. Like, you didn't see the horrors. You're not from the fallen kingdom. You're seeing it from like the victor's side, and we don't see things that way. And we also get kind of more world building with all of the different smiths and how their value went and how their value still is, and what becomes important and why like certain people are ruling and what have you. You get like the whole politics and backstory and world building, which is brilliant the way that it was done, because it is two people from two very different experiences in life that are meeting and discussing it. So getting that backstory is natural with the way that the two of them share it, as well as like just what, you know, Ren will think about. I don't know. It seemed to flow naturally to me. Again, I was a fan of the Crown of Feathers series, so I think, you know, I'm familiar with the author's work, and I think I like the writing style. So this is set to be a duology, so it does end on a bit of a... It's not a cliffhanger, but at a point where you're interested to see where the characters are going to go next and what happens in that book too. Like, you definitely leave with that vibe. There is a lot that are, like, there's a lot that's fleshed out in this narrative that is fine for, like, the closing of a complete story within that book. Things that get revealed, things that get finalized, whatever. But it also acts as the impetus for the second book. And so I do look forward to seeing what happens in the second book. I don't know if there will be a fairy loot version of it that would match, or if it's going to be, you know, I'll just have to get regular book. But yeah, I mean, I was pleased by this choice. I like the author. I liked the characters. I liked the relationships that we're building. We do get at certain points to follow along with Leo. So Leo is a full character in this as well. He wasn't just the kidnapped victim. Like, we do get to know Leo and Leo's perspective, and how Leo is able to manipulate situations and do the best for himself, because he's from a family that is kind of ruthless, and he kind of doesn't trust anybody around him, rightfully so. And so he learns ways to manipulate situations in order to save himself. He's quite a character. I actually really liked Leo, even though he was not the main focus. Like, Ren is obviously the main character, and then we see like the bits of Julian. But I really liked Leo. I think he was a brilliant character. Was a fan. And I look forward to seeing what happens with the three of them in the next book. Like, they're all great characters. This was a lot of fun. There are definitely like the creepy, spooky bits because of the fact that there's the ghosts that can touch and kill you. I think if you get the whole like ghost touch thing, kind of reminded me of oh my goodness, what is that series called? Well, it's like middle grade teen. Had the Netflix series. Oh, I can't remember now. Lockwood and Company, right? Yeah, that one. It kind of reminded me of that, with like the way that the ghost can touch and like effectively kill a person. It's like this here, where if you get touched by the ghost, it can kind of drain you of your warmth and life. So that's like a constant threat, is the ghosts that are around. And then there seems to be a new ability that is here. So yeah. So Bonesmiths essentially can control the revenants through manipulation of the bone. The new one actually has like ghost communication abilities. So that was fun. I don't think that's a huge spoiler to give away because I'm not giving away like characters or how that's discovered. It's just pretty cool. And then obviously ironsmiths can manipulate iron, goldsmiths, gold, blah, 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 blah. You know, the whole thing. And it's kind of fun. It's just an interesting world to see and be involved in. And I like stories that have like ghosts and revenants and paranormal. I just think they're fascinating and I really like them. So it kind of fit too that I read this in October because it's spooky season. It's the time when people talk about ghosts and ghost hunting, and so it fit. And I had a good time with it. I just thought it was really good and would recommend. So far, I've had a good selection of books from Fairy Loot. Not, perfect titles. I think I might have liked this one better than the adult pick, but they were both good stories that I would definitely pick up the next volumes in, so take that as you will. That's it for this video. Until next time. Bye.